For the feeling, you need a place where the voice is clear. So later on when he starts, yeah, that's very important.
Μαυρίζει και μετά ξανανοίγει, σαν να κάνει ένα άλλο πενιχτός. Γιάννη, έχεις πολύ κοντά την εικόνα.
Open letter to the viewers, participants and cultural workers of Documentahalle 14. To all Documentahalle 14 viewers, participants and cultural workers, we call for your attention in the immediate moment of learning from Athens. We are the people who inhabit the city and we are talking to you as our guests. Your jostling bodies crowd the streets of Athens, your mouths are speaking of our hardship, your feet are pounding the pavements, but this is not enough. This is a time for carving out a space for all, not a time of culturally archiving crisis. Now is a time of action, not blind consumption. We ask you to redirect your limbs into the shadows and the blackouts away from the feast the mayor of Athens has staged for you. You say you want to learn from Athens. Well, first open your eyes to the city and listen to the streets. One of your laments, the discourse of illegitimate bodies. At the same time, by staying silent, he is assisting the eradication of spaces for thousands of bodies to inhabit this city in autonomous units. These squatted houses are under constant threat. Daily, we are told we will be evicted through violent means, not only jeopardizing our basic human needs, but our support networks, spaces of autonomy and unified cultural practices. In these buildings, artists and activists coexist together with thousands of refugees who have come here from war-torn countries to seek new lives with dignity and freedom. The silence of Documenta is not acceptable and only goes further to accommodate Mayor Kaminis, the state, the church and the NGOs who stand against us and force thousands into segregated concentration camps, prepared and ready for the very bodies your director says he's trying to protect. This violent act is dividing the legitimate bodies from illegitimate ones by state force, and Documenta has far been silent. The precursor events of Documenta 14, entitled The Parliament of Bodies, spoke of the voices of resistance, transgender voices, the voices of the minority. Well, we are those voices, and we are genderless, we are migrants, and we are modern parians. We are the dissidents of the regime, and we are here. We walk with you, we treat the parallel streets, but you don't see us. You have your eyes trained on the blue dotted lines of your Google map. You have been programmed and directed not to see us, to just miss us, reverse and avoid us. Our culture has been censored from you. We ask you to recalibrate your devices, we ask you to get lost, to hack your automation, and rewire your cultural viewpoint. In the run-up to all those budget airlines hitting the tarmac, we have confronted some serious battles. Only 3 weeks ago, at dawn, on the 13th of March 2017, the state evicted the social space Villa Zographou. They simultaneously raided Alkiviadou refugee squad and arrested 120 refugees, only to release them out into the cold, homeless and without their belongings in the streets at midnight. This is not an isolated incident of oppression. Last summer in Thessaloniki, people faced the violent eviction of bulldozing of refugee homes. In Lesbos, the no-border kitchen camp was destroyed, among others. Immediately after these barbaric evictions and abuses, Mayor Kaminis stated that the occupation of municipality-owned buildings by migrants is a degrading the city. The same mayor stood before you on April 6th, presiding the pomp over the Documenta press conference. The Greek government today threatens to destroy anyone who seeks grassroots solidarity, self-organization, and to build spaces for the new beginnings. Over 2,000 refugees serve these spaces with artists and others and form communities. This aggressive cleansing will not stop. We are under threat of losing all autonomous houses by the summer of 2017. These houses are our culture, our homes and our structures. The mayor of Athens calls them ghettos, but what is a man ghetto is thousands of people's home and site of social expression and interaction. We are asking you to first seek Athens and then learn from us. By participating blindly, you are supporting the golden ghettoization of our neighborhoods, the eviction of our communities, and the systems of patriarchy that stand on our fingers as we try to build our own self-sustainable architectures. Consider your participation and role in events that implicitly lend cover and legitimacy to the mayor and state's actions. You are condoning the war on grassroots initiatives for all if you ignore our call. We call for your support and solidarity to close the camps, not the squads, solidarity to all squads, against the agreement of EU-Turkey saying, open the borders, 8th of April 2017, artists against evictions.
asked you a question. Are you the artist? Why are you filming me then? Why are you filming me? Why are you filming me?
We are filming here.
Why?
It's written outside.
I read it outside.
Yeah.
Nee, ich gehe jetzt raus, das ist nicht so langweilig. Ich will Entertainment.
Am Haupteingang. Die schicken dich wahrscheinlich weg, weil du musst den Tisch abgeben mit dem Boxer. Kannst du mal versuchen. Also wenn du hier raus, also das Haus rechts ist und dann zum Haupteingang. Es gibt einen anderen Eingang.
Nature Communities, das muss ein Bürgermeister sein, der Staat, die Kirche, die NGOs, das weiß ich nicht, wie das aus dem Parlament.
Das sind Non-Government Organizations.
Non-Government Organization. Was stand against us? Also, schmeißen Leute raus, bauen die Häuser mit Gewalt. Dieser Violent Act, diese Aggression, trennt Legitimate Bodies, also Einwohner, die jetzt sein dürfen, mit illegalen Zuwanderern, mit State Wars, mit staatlicher Gewalt. Und die Documentahalle, die Vorbereitung von der Unterkürzung. Ja, das Buch hat von
kein Perser, kein Tribut, uns aus dem Elend zu erlösen, das können wir nur selber tun. Leeres Wort des armen Rechten, leeres Wort des reichen Pflicht. Und mündig nennt man uns und Knechte, duldet die Schmach nun länger nicht. Völker, hört die Signale, auch zum letzten Gefecht. Die Internationale erkämpft das Menschenrecht. Rotfront im Staat und die Arbeitsleute. Wir sind die stärkste der Parteien. Die Müßiggänger schiebt beiseite. Diese Welt wird unser sein. Unser Blut sei nicht mehr der Name, der Feiertag, erst wenn wir sie erschossen haben, die Sonnenunterlass. Völker hört die Signale, auf zum letzten Gefecht, die Internationale erkennt das Menschenrecht. Völker hört die Signale, auch zum letzten Gefecht, die Internationale erkämpft das Menschenrecht. Rotfront. Leute, die Documentahalle besucht haben, das ist eigentlich naja.
Yeah, reassessment time.
What time is it?
7:30.
Ah.
Was für eine Zeit? Ich habe fast 10, oder?
How do you think it's going?
I think people are still waiting for us to do something.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that reading that text in the beginning didn't make much difference. I think those people over there are speaking about it.
Yeah, maybe they are ignoring
I think everybody speaks about it, but with their friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't feel like sharing something with the rest. So, except from the people that sang in the last one.
Yeah, probably the most
But
negative.
still, I think we should ask them to be divided from their friends and see if this makes any difference in the sense of sharing.
May I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I think the performance is expected to be performance where there are particular rules, where there is an audience that watches somebody, and when that doesn't happen, you are thrown out of the rules and you don't know what's happening anymore. So I think that people would share if they thought that this was the kind of framework people would share. But because you don't expect that to happen, because there's a particular way that the performance usually runs, that's why people don't share.
I understand. But were you here from the beginning?
No, I came at the end of the speech.
Yeah, it was just the case is that somebody read something that was a call for everybody that is part of the document, as a viewer, as a cultural worker, as what else? Yes, as a participant. Okay. Whatever the text said, the people that were here from the beginning and they listened to it, it tried to put some questions and to them, to us, to everybody in this room. So I am just curious why nobody tries to answer them.
Do you think that's because there is a particular procedure of things that we are used to, and you know,
Totally, yes.
If you were standing in the middle of a park, you don't address, for example, because you know that this is not appropriate, and that people would look at you strangely. So I think this is probably why people act the way they act, because you're being quiet when you're in the audience and you don't speak loud.
Also because the text almost asks you to reflect.
Yes.
And so the text asks you to reflect on your complicity within, you know, as a sort of visitor to the city, as the user of the discount airliner to come in and follow the blue dots, which I arguably have been doing. And I would say, I don't know, my reading of it, which I saw circulated online today, so I'm curious about that.
You don't
I saw it circulating online today as well. Seemed to be more about a reflective gesture rather than a demand to speak to it in a direct way. So that's why I read it as a moment of sort of contemplation, let's say, which doesn't mean that people aren't engaging, but they're engaging in, let's say, nonverbal or just.
But still, even if it is about reflecting and listening to what is going on in Greece, we are, at least for young people that live in Athens, then we have, so you could just ask us. I mean, if you want to reflect and you don't want to talk about the text, you could just ask us, how is it, I don't know, living in Athens?
Are you disappointed that nobody has said anything yet?
Me personally?
No, there's...
I mean,
it's not about disappointment.
I understand it. I understand that this is the context of a performance, so yes, it is a problem, but okay, we have spent some time, you know, working this through, talking to our friend next to us, so now we have still some time and we can set different rules, like talking all together.
So what is your position about the text?
Mine?
Yeah.
I think I will tell you later. I mean, I don't want to address so much the conversation.
First point to check, we just didn't understand the text, so it was a bit hard to understand. Did everyone get the text right? Do you know what it said?
Yeah, I would agree with this as well.
We know what the text was about, because we live here in this city.
Okay.
But the question is, why do we have only 20 minutes more? I mean, we could stay here for hours. Because there are many things we could discuss about. What it is living in Athens, you know, where so many people are live in the streets, are evicted, or people see their wages being cut down, people see their pensions cut down, especially for people like you coming from other countries would be very interested. Maybe you would be very interested to know what is going on here. there are many things we could talk about.
I think one of the things to address here, though, is there seems to me also a sort of violence as well to like ask. I mean, you know, why would you need to respond to me if I ask you how is it like to live in Athens? I mean, you could also just be like, I don't want to talk about it or something. So that to me, there has to be a moment of intimacy between us before I would just approach any person living in Athens. I mean, it's also their right to be totally indifferent to my question, even if I'm curious. So I think that there needs to be this intimacy before I would just, you know, start this inquiry somehow.
Yes,
I'm definitely curious.
I understand. I'm not accusing you of something. Actually, the text was a little bit accusing people for not being, being open to the city and to its people. And I just felt that an answer should be given. And yeah, this. I mean,
maybe you want to talk about it without anyone asking you. I mean, I think that a lot of people would probably be interested.
Not sure.
Is there something you would like us to know?
Yeah.
Us as outsiders. Is there something that you would like us to know?
For example, this thing that the text puts was about evictions, about refugees, occupations being evacuated from the police. I don't know. Isn't it? Is it something you have heard of?
Yeah.
And this happens while Documenta has occupied the structures, like central structures from the city.
How was this text written?
We don't know.
How? Don't know. You don't know?
No.
It was just there.
I think somebody found it on the internet. No.
Actually, as we are talking, like a friend sent me the link, and so I was checking who signed it, and it's just Artists Against Evictions.
Yeah.
So it's not the same as who wrote it, for instance.
And maybe you said that even, but I didn't get it.
Yes.
And how is, because there was like the people from Documenta here, they were for a few months, no? Like the whole structure is not appearing from nothing. And as far as I understood, they were trying to create different connections with different structures to develop the project together with the city. Like the people living here, like, did you have access to those structures? Could you work with them? They were calling you, they were open, or not?
Some of them, yes.
Yeah?
It has been almost 2 years now that Documenta is present. I mean, not all the places have been occupied since then, but for example, the exhibition space in the art school, it used to be for the students and for their loans.
I think maybe like a question like why did you whatever if you wrote the text maybe like not a question you can answer, but I was wondering why this text come down not even before and then somehow being so addressed to the visitors. It's how much this text was also like aiming to kind of potentially to create like a solidarity movement, let's say with a lot of different kind of people, but let's say like the art community or professionals that are like visiting these days. Yeah, so it's a bit like I mean, yes, question of for you like pragmatically to use this platform or not, or like how to potentially also like put some visibility on this eviction issue and to basically to put pressure on the mayor. Because it seems that there is the political issue is right now with the mayor that's doing bullshit with with the addiction, no? That is taking these unilateral like decisions to kick some squad away or like some camp. And I'm just wondering like how much I don't know, we were just mentioning like the possibility of like a petition or like which is can have some effects or not, but how like is it takes the aim also to activate us to do something? Like but like since how, no, like let's say
and as people who live in Athens, do you think, because certain cities, it seems possible to make demands, and if there's really a huge effort, there can be some reciprocal response from the municipal government. As Athenians, do you have any good faith in the municipality to answer if enough people make demands? Do you have good conscience about the municipality to respect those demands?
it was a kind of question actually.
Yes.
No, but it's like in relation to the municipality. Is it, I mean, do you want to put pressure on the municipality or like to the extent that there is actually no, like what kind of pressure can be put on the municipality? Is it by occupying more spaces? Is it like let's say like an administrative pressure you're ready to put on it, or you just don't want to even speak to the municipality to address this directly to them, which I would also difficult to understand, even if I
just don't understand why you ask us. It's like you're addressing the question to someone else. Why don't we wonder?
What, you don't understand why we asked you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he?
We didn't write the text. The text was addressed to us as much as to you too.
So, would you rather he ask somebody else? I mean, actually, we're all talking.
Yeah.
So, if he asks you, he can also ask someone else, and that person can ask, why are you asking me? It doesn't matter, does it? I mean...
Yeah, it feels more like an interview rather than a talk. That's why we're saying that this. Why do you ask us?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the structure, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's also when you...
How much time will it be needed to go further from the structure?
There always has to be a structure. I mean, you know, it's
Okay, let's change structure. There is also a structure to people talking together about something, so let's adopt this structure if we can.
Do you not think that you, as artists creating the space, naturally leaves a small hierarchy where people look to you for answers or the vision that brought this idea to us? Is that small hierarchy inevitable?
I wouldn't even see it as a hierarchy. It's more like a role that you play. I mean, everybody plays a role. Wherever you go, you have a role. If you're in the family, you have a role. If you are in an audience, you have a role. If you're an artist, you have a role. But without a role, you wouldn't be recognized from anybody for anything. I mean, you have to adopt some kind of a role. You have a name, you know, you have a nationality, and this is how people look at you by. And otherwise, very hard to define. You know, I mean, there's also people who don't speak or don't accept any kind of role, but it's very hard to communicate with them usually. Because you have a standard of common agreement on reality and what makes it. And if you cancel all the roles, you're just left in a space where something can emerge. You know, we can all party and dance. We just got music.
And some of those roles that you address can be quite oppressive, especially the ones that people can't choose.
What's that?
I think some of the roles that you mentioned in terms of like being able to using these definitions, categories to better understand somebody's role or position can be quite oppressive, especially the ones that one cannot decide, and they're not unilaterally gazed upon with the same parity. You know, there's no equality in that gaze from these different categories. So that's why we have an issue with framing the necessity of those rules, at least, many times in the battle is to undo precisely those categories, or at least the evaluation of those categories.
Yep.
In terms of how the rules are received, right? Because they're given, but they're also received.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it's also always your choice to accept the rule. I mean, you can also say, you know, I'm breaking out, or I need somebody else. Or
some of them, yes, some of them you can't. You can't change the color of your skin so easily.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, people perceive you also according to your actions and according to your own perception of yourself and of others. I think, you know, and it's like when you go out with a bad mood, oftentimes you get a bad mood back. You know, I mean, it's like it's a process it's never one-sided. You know, I mean, I think we're probably saying the same thing.
I would say, I mean, I would say it's a little bit more complicated than that. I agree with you. If you go with a man, you're just going to get a shitty day. There's some people who are great with their ethnicity or gender or what have you, will always get an oppositional or a potentially threatening response. And those sort of normative structures are incredibly unjust.
Yeah.
So the presence of Documenta here is a normative structure? So the presence of Documenta in Athens is a normative structure?
I would say so.
What is a normative structure? Τι είναι το normative structure?
Was this text written by artists who participate?
Here? We don't know, we just said that, yeah, they're artists against evictions.
Right, and it was just sent to the internet?
Yeah, on Iflux.
What do you mean by normative structure exactly? I mean, do you mean it's a role structure, or normative structure?
I don't know, you mentioned it. I thought it was part of the... What I got from that, it was like that it doesn't challenge the power structures. It doesn't challenge anything. So you're supposed to have a political exhibition, but it's not political at all if it doesn't challenge the power structures. And not only the power structures are not challenged, but even so, as we read in the letter, the opposite happens. So they're using this excuse for gentrification, and while gentrification is happening in the city center, at the same time, autonomous occupations and squats are closing. So I guess, is that what you want to be part of? Is that something you will feel proud after 10 years to be part of, and what we can do all together about that?
But how do we know that there are no structures challenged by documental?
How do we know that?
Yeah, because maybe there were like many fights inside of documental that we don't know about. There were people that didn't get permissions to come here because they're coming from countries that normally they can't. There are people that they were not in history, that now they are. Is that a way of challenging or not?
Okay, yeah, I can accept that as an argument. I think it's fair enough.
I think it's actually very interesting because there's a lot of contradictions in what the Documenta presents in the works and what it does. And I hope, anyway, that, and I think that probably this will be thrown a little more light upon, because people start discussing. But it will be thrown a little more light upon because people start discussing, and there are a lot of critical responses, and people start thinking, why is it like this?
Okay, so I wanted to say something. First of all, the evacuation of the squats is politically a very crucial gesture because the refugees that are staying in the squats are, after the evacuation of them, are sent to camps, and camps are like okay, in the camps the conditions of living for the refugees are really, really horrible. They have spent the whole winter with snow and stuff like that in tents, and there were like children born in there and living. And in the squads there are some people, leftist people, or I don't know, people that have a respect for human beings, and they produce, they try to work with the refugees to keep a humanity, like dignity, how's it called, conditions of living for them. And actually, there are some squads in the center that also Greek people live there with the refugees. And there have been some riots about it, and there is a very interesting political movement what's going on here in Greece. And I agree with the text that it is a pity to come to Greece in this context and not understand it or not being part of it. Or
eventually produce the opposite result.
Yeah. But I understand why it is difficult to find common ground to talk about. I mean, I understand that the text doesn't give, like an appointment to say to people, go there, talk about that, do this, do that. It just says, do something, feel the city. I understand the complexity of this, and from the time we spent silent in here, and I was sitting silent too, I understood that there are many things to divide people, and there are many things that have to come together so people can share something. And actually this is part of what we're doing. So yeah, I understand why nobody was speaking in the first place, but yeah. You don't know what's happening in the squads, maybe most of you don't. You have come here to see an exhibition, to see a performance, it's totally understandable, but how many things should, in the first minute somebody put a question, how many conditions should, be real in order for us to try to answer these questions, just to have a conversation? Why is it so difficult?
This is it's totally moral what you talk about. Sorry.
It's totally
moral. It's like sorry, my English is not really good. Moral. Immoral.
Immoral.
No, moral. You make a lesson now. Please, we are not baby. Sorry.
Yeah. I just.
No, but it is.
I was just saying what I was feeling today, but you can share some things too. No, not share. Say if you feel like.
Yes, I say that. Why do you don't talk? Okay, it's. Oh, sorry. Your place is not really. How can I explain? It's not really clear. Oh, you are.
It was a reading of the situation.
Thank you. I understand, but I think
why
that.
Why does it make you angry though?
Because I think that just what you talk at the end, it's really like you can't do that, you don't do that, and you say.
I said it's
yes,
totally understandable for me, and even if I was, I mean,
there is something else. I would say feeling like me or not? No. I'm alone to have this feeling.
I don't exactly understand.
What?
I don't exactly understand your point. No, but just
you don't understand what I
can you say it again? Can I just understand what you mean? Say it again.
I understand.
Yes, you understand. Perhaps you can explain better than me.
Yeah, I understand. She says, and maybe she's right, that the way I was speaking before, it's very didactical.
Yes.
To be a teacher, but this was not my.
I'm sure
my point. But still, I had some thoughts during this hour, and I just wanted to share. But you can do it too. I mean, if you have something more useful to say.
I'm not sure.
It's just
a feeling.
Yeah. But what else you say?
It was more like an observation. This is what we were trying to do today.
I understand what you're trying to do, but I think that there is a way to engage people to talk, perhaps, I don't know, but or not. But at the end, it is the result of the experience. Now, today it is the result of this experience when we were here together. So the process is included in the process.